All right, guys. Good morning. It is 9 a.m. on Friday, April 5th, 2019. Hope everybody's doing well. Just want to make a follow-up video regarding the non-farm payroll in the U.S. and Canadian employment news. I made a video last night as kind of a preview right here. So if you haven't seen that already, please go to the channel and check this out. But to kind of bring it back, so let's take a quick look. We had kind of a mixed bag here, so especially for the US dollar, and we're seeing that on the charts. So the Canadian news was also relatively negative too. So if we go to Forex Live, average hourly earnings was an improvement, so that's a positive. But full-time employment change was negative. They were expecting a positive number, and part-time employment change was pretty much flat. But this is pretty negative. Unemployment rate stayed the same. Like I said, their earnings rate did go up a little bit, so that's a positive. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It was less full-time jobs, but no change in the unemployment rate, and a slight tick up in their average hourly earnings. For the US dollar, the headline number in terms of the number of jobs was better, 196,000 versus 177 expected. So that's certainly a good number. Participation rate actually ticked down, so that's a little bit of a negative. And the average hourly earnings, this is probably the most negative part of this, was right here, only came in at positive 0.1%. They were expecting 0.3. So it doesn't sound like a big change, but that is a pretty big miss. The year over year also dropped too, from 3.4 to expected 3.4, came in at 3.2%. And the unemployment rate did stay the same as I expected it would. So it's a mixed bag. So it was a positive headline number, but when you dig down to the data, it wasn't so good. So really for both of them, kind of a mixed bag. And I think if you look at the charts, you'll see that. Let's look at the dollar first. So let's go to the hourly chart. So this candle right here, this red candle, it was the news, and you can see it's spiked up, spiked down, and now it's just kind of sitting here doing nothing. So US Swiss, same thing, spiked up, spiked down, and now if it came back to here, it would be unchanged on the news. So it's still slightly lower, but it's basically not doing anything. US Canadian also, look at this wick, because of course this takes into account both of the currencies. Huge wick on both sides, and now it's basically back to where it was before the news came out, which would have been right here on this green candle. And that's pretty much where the price is now. So it's really done absolutely nothing. And then the euro dollar. I still had this drawn out as a wave 5 to go down. And again, this green candle was the spike, up, down. And now it is going down a little bit, but it's pretty much back to where it was before the news came out. And then for the Canadian, so the Canadian news was negative. I did expect that this was going to go up again and then finish this trend on the 4 or 5 hour chart here. This is what I drew last night. And we can see, on the news was negative, it spiked down. Now you can see it's kind of pulled back off these lows. So is it going to turn around and reverse and go up now and just shake off the news, or are we going to continue down or just not do anything? Of course, it is Friday, so if it doesn't start doing something soon, then it's not going to, because it is Friday. So. But it's basically almost near unchanged. If it went back to here, this would be where the news was when it came out. So, and Canadian Swiss, kind of the same exact story. I was expecting to see this go back up, and it did spike down on the bad news, and it's pulled back now. Now it's just basically sitting there doing nothing. So guys, this is what happens when you get a mixed bag. The market really doesn't find a direction. As I said last night, sometimes you get these kind of nothing burgers, and usually it's driven by conflicting data. So I'm not saying that eventually it won't find a trend or won't, but my gut is, because of the fact that the news was kind of a mixed bag, that eventually the larger trend will take back over again. It might not happen today, But I do still think if you look at the Canadian and Swiss here on a longer time frame, to me this still looks like it wants to go back up. That this whole sideways stuff is just a correction. Eventually, we'll go back up. I mean, unless it comes down and much further. But right now, it's just not doing anything. So I am still holding to this pattern, even though, like I said, it might not happen today. Same exact thing on the Canadian yen. And then, with the US Swiss, again, this still looks like a correction. This is that big blue arrow I painted last night. And this still looks like a correction that eventually wants to go down. It's just chopping around, not really doing anything right now. Same thing on the US yen. I was in a long on this last night. I got out of it before the news came out. So I took a little profit on that. But, this could potentially go up a little bit more, but I still think this will eventually come back down too. And the US Canadian, who knows if both of these, like if it turns out that the Canadian dollar starts going back up again and the US starts going down, then the US Canadian will be a nice short. But right now it's going up, but it's not really doing very much. So essentially, guys, there's no trade. That's the bottom line. There's no trade as it stands right now, and unless we kind of kick it into high gear here in the next probably half an hour, then there probably won't be a trade on this today. Again, being that it's Friday, but certainly I'd keep an eye on it when the market reopens next week, and everybody kind of has the weekend to think about this stuff. So when it comes out like this, is sometimes it happens. And so other than that, I would say, look at the larger patterns or look at your technicals and maybe go by that, because fundamentally it's kind of a mess. So anyways, guys, but like I said, conflicting news, this is what happens. And we definitely had conflicting news from both currencies and both reports. And that's why you see this type of action, and it's really easy to get pulled into these and get whipsawed around and end up taking losses. And so it's better just to kind of stay out and let the market decide what it wants to do. So, all right, guys, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, as usual, please like the video, comment, share it, and join the channel if you haven't already and you're just finding it now. Appreciate it, and hope it was informative. If I don't talk to you, which I won't today, have a great weekend, and we'll look ahead for some opportunities next week. All right, take care, everybody.